This is Qtv News and I am Jenna Basonko. Thank you for joining us. First, the main local, international and sports news headlines. The state of public emergency has been extended by President Adama Barrow. The Independent Electoral Commission releases the 2021 elections calendar. Following government's easing of restrictions late last month, grade 12 students resumed classes after more than 3 months of schools closure due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Healthcare workers of the COVID-19 response team have ended their sit-down strike after the Ministry of Health agreed to address some of their welfare concerns. The National Assembly on Tuesday voted no to 45 days extension of state of public health emergency following a request by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Today, the 15th of July, is World Youth Skills Day, celebrated around the globe to highlight the importance of equipping young people with skills. In international news, following media reports about the alleged arrest of 7 members of ex-President Yahya Jammeh's hit squad, the Junglers, Qtv News has contacted the German authorities for clarification. And the Trump administration has dropped planned restrictions on foreign students taking online-only instruction at universities. In sports, after police in Germany raided and searched the house of the Gambian-born HSV Hamburg star Bakary Jatta for alleged change of identity and age falsification, the prosecutor's office is now looking at a new evidence. Those are our main headlines, and now the news in detail. Stay with us. In local news, the Independent Electoral Commission has released the electoral calendar for 2021. The release, among other things, states that the general voter registration in the Gambia will take place from the 14th January to the 26th February 2021, and the diaspora voter registration from the 1st to the 31st July 2021. The release also states that voting or polling day for constitutional referendum will take place on the 5th of June 2021. The date for the presidential election is set for 4th December 2021. Now, grade 12 students resumed classes today after more than 3 months of staying at home due to the coronavirus restrictions. The measure came following government's easing of restrictions late last month, allowing grade 9 students to start classes. Mahmoud Lamin Choi has more.
After more than 3 months at home, grade 12 students are back in the classroom at a time they would normally almost or already have completed their final exams. Students' turnout on this first day looks good, and some schools commenced lessons today while practicing physical distancing in the classroom. The grade 12 students have another month of contact hours with teachers to recover a little of what has been lost while they were out of the classroom. For some, intensive reading, given the little time left ahead of their exams, is the best option to prepare for exams. School authorities have confirmed the challenges they face after so many contact hours were lost, but they still plan to get their students prepared for the WAS exams by every means possible. Grade 12 students will start exams on the 17th of next month, while the grade 9 start theirs next Monday. Some students who spoke to QTV expressed confidence in the upcoming exams with the hope of sailing through the exams despite the challenges they have encountered during the pandemic. However, they also have something to worry about ahead of the exams. Schools have put in place health measures for students who, away from school, have been living a normal life during the pandemic. Interactions among students is in no way different from how they interacted in school before the coronavirus pandemic. There is less exercise of physical distancing among themselves during break time. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
Healthcare workers of the COVID-19 response team have ended their sit-down strike after dialogue with the Ministry of Health, which ended with commitments. The ministry has agreed to address some of their welfare concerns of health workers. QTV's Mahmoud Lamin Choi again.
Health workers of the Gambia's COVID-19 response team are back at work after a sit-down strike which lasted less than a week. The ministry and its staff, the healthcare workers, had resorted to dialogue as a strategy to end the impasse. The result of a series of talks, which ended yesterday, has been fruitful after the ministry gave a commitment to address the welfare needs of the health workers.
It has been clear to them that government have provided $100 million to be distributed among the health workers, the frontline workers. Yes, to them it is not adequate, and then that was a concern they raised. But there was no promise given, and there was no concrete decision taken in that area. But the minister, will also see. According to him, he will also work very hard with his team to see and approach partners to be able to see what can be done for the frontline work.
The ministry has agreed to broker benefits for the health workers in mobility, health insurance, communication, and accommodation. Healthcare workers who do sample collection and testing will be provided vehicles, while the rapid response team will be issued motorbikes for timely response to COVID-19 related cases. The COVID-19 response team has been asked to identify those qualified to receive motorbikes and to receive accommodation based on level of risk.
For example, if somebody is infected with the virus, and then all the treatment aspect will be taken care of by the government. And in case a health worker dies, government also will provide an incentive package as a form of compensation to the family. And then also, what I've also been discussed with them is the issue of among the key among the incentive package is a package for the scholarship for school children. Like for example, if the health worker died and the family members, the children will be supported with educational package from up to university level.
The Director of Health Promotion and Education has also revealed that there will be credit cards given to each COVID-19 response team's leaders to ease communication among themselves and members of the community. The health workers also want to have representation on the COVID-19 subcommittees, a wish the ministry has agreed to. After holding talks among themselves, authorities have blamed communication gaps as the cause of the misunderstanding between the ministry and its staff.
So let Gambians relax, and then our relationship is okay. Let the communities also feel that we are with them, and we felt what has happened to them. So we deeply apologize for the inconveniences that we may have caused. And then we will want to promise them that definitely such a scenario will not happen, because we will be constantly communicating, and they will also be part of our various subcommittees. So there will be no communication gap.
They are back to work after leaving huge gaps in our country's COVID-19 response, even though neither of the two parties accept being the scapegoat over this matter. COVID-19 response might have been going on, but it is indisputable that damage might have been caused during the short period of the sit-down strike. The country is watching to see how the ministry will get on with its staff and whether its commitments will be fulfilled. As the country's COVID-19 cases rise above a 50% increase over recent weeks and the recent sit-down strike by health workers, Gambians are waiting to see what, if any, this will have on the fight against COVID-19. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
The National Assembly on Tuesday voted no to the extension of a state of public health emergency following a request by Dauda Jallow, the Attorney General and Justice Minister, on Tuesday to seek a 45-day extension. Aliu Cisse has the rest of that.
Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. No. The ayes have it. What?
Honorable Speaker.
We will open the...
Honorable Speaker. I rise to call for a division. I think we need to count, because clearly what I heard is the noes have it. No, I think it's important
Parliament was divided over the request to extend the emergency period by another 45 days, leading to a vote by members raising their constituency tax. In the end, it ended with 20 voting for an extension and 23 against. The decision was preceded by the Attorney General and Justice Minister Dauda Jallow moving a motion to seek an extension of the state of public emergency deemed necessary to help contain the COVID-19 pandemic.
Since the declaration of the first proclamation on the 18th of March 2020, the President has issued following emergency regulations: essential commodities, restrictions on open market and shopping areas, closures and restrictions of non-essential public places, restrictions on public transportation, the suspension of the application of withholding tax for emergency food relief supplies, restrictions on educational institutions and places of worship, closure of national borders. In accordance with Section 5(2) of the Emergency Powers Act, for these regulations to continue to have effect during a period when an emergency proclamation is in force, they must be affirmed by a resolution of the National Assembly. In light of the above, I also move that this August Assembly approve and extend for 45 days effective 15th of July 2020 the public emergency regulations made pursuant to the proclamation of a state of public emergency. Thank you for your kind attention.
Seconding the motion, Usman Silla, the member for Banjul North and chairperson of the Health Self-Committee, said COVID-19 is real and deadly, while urging his colleagues to approve the motion.
For various reasons, I am in support of an extension. The first reason is that we are still living with COVID-19. It is here. Although there is denial, the scale that one would have thought would scare people to force them to believe that it exists, one can say is not as threatening as is happening in other countries, but it is still here. And as I said, we have registered 3 deaths. And these are lives that matter. And we don't want any further person to succumb to COVID-19.
The executive has been extending emergency period without parliamentary approval as the constitution permits. The vice president was summoned last week to appear before deputies to explain the move by the executive to extend the state of emergency without seeking parliament's resolution. However, she is yet to respond to the request. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Aliu Sise.
After the National Assembly rejected an application by the Attorney General for further 45 days extension to the state of public emergency, today President Adama Barrow has announced another extension of 7 days starting from today. Today, the 5th of July, is World Youth Skills Day, celebrated around the world to highlight the importance of equipping young people with skills of employment, decent work and entrepreneurship. I visited 2 young people who are doing extremely well with the skill they have. Let's take a listen. World Youth Skills Day also highlights the important role of skilled youth in addressing current and future global challenges. This year's World Youth Skills Day is taking place during a COVID-19 pandemic, and lockdown measures have led to the worldwide closure of technical and vocational education and training institutions. As a result, skills learning is often ineffective or even impossible, threatening the continuity of skills development. UNESCO recently estimates that nearly 70% of the world's learners are affected by school closures. During a visit to 2 young people with skills, Mohamed Fayinke, a farmer and a teacher, and Aissatou Sanyang, a sculptor, spoke about the importance of skills.
Having a skill and at the same time as an educator is very, very important, because one, you will be self-employed. You will not be dependent on anybody. Whatever you want to do, you can do it for yourself without depending on others.
It's important to have a skill like this, because with that it makes you like you're diverse. When you're diverse, you have more chances to explore different things, and you would know which opportunity can make you a better person in life, or an idol for people to look up to. As for me, I want to advocate for girls. I want people to look up to me and know that if they come to me, I can help them or guide them or show them that there is more to this life than just, ordinary careers.
Aisa to added that young people are not exploring art as a career. As an artist, she said that she can create more job opportunities for the youths. She further revealed that the pandemic should be a perfect opportunity for young people to be fully independent, as more than 1 in 6 young people are out of job due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In the Gambia, some skills are regarded as odd, which tends to affect the level of young people engaging with that specific skill. Another challenge for skill acquisition is that our education system doesn't create room for acquiring skills at an early age.
Happy International World Youth Skills Day.
Happy World Youth Skills Day.
Reporting for Qtv News, I am Jennifer Sonko. We will go for a short commercial break. The news continues when we return. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is Qtv News. Now, a total of $269 million was spent on government traveling from 1st July to the end of October 2019, accounting for 80% of its approved budget, the finance minister told lawmakers on Wednesday. As Alusisa reports, the minister also responded to other issues, including revenue collected over the years and the sale of planes used by former President Yahya Jammeh.
The Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, Mamburi Njai, made this revelation on Wednesday as he returned to Parliament to respond to issues relating to his ministry. He informed lawmakers that the duty collected on rice imports for 2017 amounted to $192.4 million. However, the duty on rice in 2018 was zero-rated, and hence there was no payment of duty on rice imports. While revenue lost to waiving taxes on rice amounted to $305.1 million in 2019. The introduction of VAT, he told the Parliament, has seen an increase in revenue collections, with the collection of $1.4 billion in 2019 just on value-added taxes. On the annual revenue collection by the Gambia Revenue Authority from 2017 to 2019, he revealed that $7 billion was collected in 2017, $9 billion in 2018, and $11 billion in 2019. The finance minister explains why duty charges worth $13 million were levied on KMC garbage disposal trucks that were in the direct public interest.
The KMC garbage trucks was a public-private partnership arrangement between KMC and ESPAS, and a review of the agreement indicates that the trucks were the properties of ESPAS Motors until such a time KMC completes payment, that is 36 months, as such duty exemption could not be granted under such a scheme. Example, after the payment of this, KMC came back to us and tell us now we have about 4 trucks, that these trucks are going to military installations, hospitals, clinics to collect the garbage. That is not a commercial operation, and we make sure that one we were able to waive. We tell them these ones are okay, but we monitor. The day we see a truck that is meant to be collecting garbage from the hospital or military installations, doing a commercial operations, we're going to withdraw that.
As the digital economy starts to shape in many countries, and in some instances contributing significantly to a country's GDP, as well as its potential for use in terrorist financing and money laundering, Minister Njai says his ministry recognizes the risks associated with the digital economy, and that the government has set up the Financial Intelligence Unit and the Gambia Competition and Consumer Protection Commission to check any fresh arising.
For mobile money, the Banking Supervision Department of the Central Bank of the Gambia, aided by the revised Central Bank Act 2018, is closely monitoring operators to ensure risk emanating from such is contained.
Since the introduction of the levy for sports development on the telecommunications sector in June 2019, the finance minister says $43.6 million has been collected and allocated to the sports ministry. On the usage of the funds, he said that depends on the sports ministry to give an account. According to Minister Naya, $6.2 million is the amount collected from the gateway since the borough administration took over. He concludes that $4 million was spent on the last presidential tour. On the level of implementation of the vehicle policy, he informed the Assembly that the policy is currently at the Ministry of Transport for review. The 2 grounded airplanes at the Banjul International Airport used by the former President Yahya Jammeh, according to him, have been sold for $240,000 in 2018. Also, another 3 scrap planes were also sold for $500,000 in 2019. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliu Sise.
The Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission on Wednesday commenced a new team in their quest to investigate happenings during the 22-year rule of ex-President Yahya Jammeh, the former president's so-called HIV treatment program, part of the so-called Presidential Alternative Treatment Program. Babukar C has the rest of that.
Former President Yahya Jammeh's so-called Alternative Treatment Program is the latest to be investigated, with the first witness, Fatou Jatta, telling the commission that she felt worst after taking part in Jammeh's treatment. Fatou Jatta told the Truth Commission that she knew about her HIV status in 1995 when she visited the Medical Research Council, but was counseled and given medication while visiting the MRC on appointments as advised by the doctors. She said during her frequent visit to the MRC, a group of about 300 HIV-infected patients came together to form an association called Santayala Society, which was aimed at bringing the people living with the virus together and supporting them, whilst using some of them as advocates, sensitizing the public about HIV. The witness said the Santayala group met with ex-President Jammeh in 2006 when they were invited at the State House, and that after meeting with Jammeh, the ex-president asked if all these beautiful ladies were HIV positive. The witness said on the 18th of January 2007, she heard over the news that the president said he can cure HIV and AIDS, asthma and diabetes.
It's not fun. Coming out and treating these people is not fun.
Ms. Fatou Jatta said when they went for the treatment at the State House, they were asked to strip, undress naked, and were given a towel to cover their bodies.
What they used to do is you will undress stark naked. You will tie a towel. You lie down. They would be massaging your body. And they will touch everywhere on your body, all parts, including your private part. They did not spare any part of your body.
The witness said after drinking the medication and the liquid rubbed over her body, she felt unconscious. According to her, she was put on a stretcher where she stayed from midday to 5 p.m. She said after going through the treatment process, she never had peace again with her health condition. The witness said they were later taken and admitted at the Serekunda Hospital under the surveillance of security officers, whilst being required to go to the State House every morning to be receiving the so-called concoction treatment. The witness said she was going under a lot of stress and pain, which is not helpful in fighting against the virus, and more so, she was having a child with her. Fatou Jatta said they stayed in that condition for 6 months before they were discharged to go home. She said the ex-president claims that he can cure HIV in 3 days is a lie, as he has spent more than 6 months going through the so-called treatment. The witness said the treatment process went with a lot of difficulties, as at some point Jammeh told them that some of the patients are witches and wizards, thus they were taken to Kanilai and made to drink concoction. Not only that, the witness said they were made to work in the Kanilai farms too. She said after their discharge from the treatment program, she went back to the MRC for another checkup and found out that the virus had almost overcome her immune system, and the doctors had to put her through a rigorous treatment plan program. At the end of her testimony, the witness gave a powerful statement, revealing some disturbing narrations on what she went through, from the stigma and discrimination and life threats from an unknown person. At this juncture, the lead counsel again advised the public to refrain from taking the law in their own hands, whilst warning that any person or persons that confronts TRRC witnesses will face the full force of the law. Babukar Sy, QTV News.
And now to international news. Following media reports about the alleged arrest of 7 members of ex-President Yahya Jammeh's hit squad, the Junglers, QTV News contacted the German authorities. Here's a quick update.
On 10th July, reports were published in German newspapers and on social media that members of former President Jammeh's hit squad had been arrested in Germany. The initial reports stated that 7 suspects whose asylum applications are pending with the Federal Office for Migration and Refugees were arrested in the town of Baden-Württemberg after their homes were raided by German police. QTV sought clarification and wrote to the German authorities, and the chief prosecutor, Dag Hackler, today wrote to us, quote, "With reference to your request, I can inform you that the Federal Prosecutor's Office carried out several search warrants by the Federal Supreme Court's investigative judge last week. However, no arrests have been made. The background to this is an investigation by the Federal Prosecutor's Office against several suspects on suspicion of crimes against humanity committed in Gambia in accordance with Section 7 of the International Criminal Code. For the rest, I ask for your understanding that we cannot provide any further information. Best regards, Dag Hackler," the letter ends.
The Trump administration has dropped planned restriction on foreign students taking online-only instruction at universities. The threatened move was announced last week. Bintu Koka has the rest of that.
The Trump administration has agreed to rescind a directive that would have barred international college students from the U.S. if their colleges offered classes entirely online in the fall semester. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement rule change, released last week, would have prohibited foreign students from entering or remaining in the country to take full online course loads, as a number of colleges and universities had already announced plans to offer only online classes because of the coronavirus pandemic. The move to drop the policy is a relief for more than 1 million international students in the U.S. Harvard University and Massachusetts Institute of Technology sued the U.S. government in a federal court 2 days after the initial announcement, calling the directive arbitrary and capricious and seeking to have it reversed and declared unlawful. Many colleges, universities, municipalities, and tech companies expressed their support for the legal challenge in their own court filings. State Attorney General had sued the Department of Homeland Security over the rule, which would have forced foreign students to either find face-to-face courses, leave, or face deportation if they were enrolled in only online classes this fall, when experts fear expanded outbreaks of COVID-19 cases. In Tuesday's session at the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts, the universities were expected to make arguments saying that the rule was onerous for schools and even dangerous for students. However, the threat has been removed. Colleges benefit financially from foreign students, as many of them have to pay the full course fees, unlike home students. MIT President Rafael Rive celebrated the government's decision in a statement on Tuesday. This case also made abundantly clear that real lives are at stake in these matters, with a potential for real harm, he said. We need to approach policy making, especially now, with more humanity, more decency, not less. Bintu Koka, QTV News.
Gambian fans are mourning the death of Naya Rivera, an American actress, singer and model. The 33-year-old went missing after renting a boat on Lake Pearl in Los Angeles with her 4-year-old son last week. Mary Lewis and Sanyang reports on what about her resonated with so many young people and girls.
Naya Rivera began her career as a child actress and model, appearing in national television commercials before landing the role of Hilary Winston on the short-lived CBS sitcom The Royal Family at the age of 4, where she received a nomination for a Young Artist Award. After a series of television roles and guest spots as a teenager, Naya received her breakthrough role as Santana Lopez on the hit Fox television series Glee, a role for which she received nominations for numerous awards and critical acclaim. Naya not only lived her life as an actress, model and a singer, but also lived her life as an inspiration to the young generation who saw her as a perfect mother to her son, who was found by himself in a boat. According to police report, Naya heroically saved her son, Jose, before she died. Looking at the role she played in the TV series Glee, she portrays the role of a brave young girl who believes in her dreams even when everything seems impossible. The cast of Glee gathered at the lake where her body was found with her family to pray for Naya. The death of the award-winning actress left so many people devastated, especially her family, friends, cast members and fans, all of whom have been posting tributes to the actress. To her fans, Naya will always be remembered as a beautiful and inspiring woman. Her many fans across the world, including those in the Gambia, are devastated. May her soul rest in perfect peace. For QTV News, I am Marie-Louise Nsanyang.
We will go for a short commercial break, and when we return, we will take a look at what is happening in the world of sports. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now, after police in Germany raided and searched the house of Gambian-born HSV Hamburg star Bakary Jatta for alleged change of identity and age falsification, the prosecutor's office is now taking a look at Jatta's bank account movement, and Sumana Isunyasi has the rest of that.
After the raid on the 2nd of July 2020, German police took electronic gadgets from Jatta's home. Now the case has taken on a different dimension. The prosecutor's office is suspicious that Hamburg star Bakary Jatta 22 could be Bakary Daffé 24. According to Sport Bill, a German newspaper that published his story, previous investigations have revealed that Jatta has contacts with footballers in Senegal, Gambia and Nigeria who were previously associated with Daffé. Prosecutors have checked his bank account movement, and irregularities were said to be found, such as the transfer of monies to former Bakary Daffé teammates. In his defense, Hamburg's fans have said they do not care whether the claims are true, and that for someone to have made it to Germany as a refugee, he must have gone through a lot and should be left alone. In a related matter, there has been criticism of how, at the time of the raid on Jatta's house, a photographer was able to be present and to get access to take photographs at what was meant to be a clandestine operation. Bakary Jatta, who complained about a witch hunt and a smear campaign via social media, signed for Hamburg as an 18-year-old in June 2016. Apart from these social media comments, he has refused to speak about the case and has given no interviews on the matter. Ansumane Sonyasi for Qtv News.
Before we end this news bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. The state of public emergency has been extended by President Adama Barrow. The Independent Electoral Commission releases the 2021 elections calendar. Following government's easing of restrictions, late last month, grade 12 students resumed classes after more than 3 months of schools closure due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Healthcare workers of the COVID-19 response team have ended their sit-down strike after the Ministry of Health agreed to address some of their welfare concerns. After the National Assembly rejected an application by the Attorney General for a further 45 days extension to the state of public emergency, today President Adama Barrow has announced another extension of 7 days starting from today. Today, the 15th of July, is World Youth Skills Day, celebrated around the world to highlight the importance of equipping young people with skills. In international news, Following media reports about the alleged arrest of 7 members of ex-President Yahya Jammeh's hit squad junglers, QTV has contacted German authorities for clarification. And the Trump administration has dropped planned restrictions on foreign students taking online-only instruction at universities. In sports, after police in Germany raided and searched the house of the Gambian-born HSV Hamburg star Bakary Jatta for alleged change of identity and age falsification, the prosecutor's office is now looking into Jatta's bank account movement. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us tomorrow, same time for more news. Thank you for watching.